My brothers and sisters, there is a warning in your life right now that you've been brushing aside for far too long. You feel it in your heart. You see it in your routine. You notice it in the way your peace has slowly been disappearing. And the truth is, the more you ignore it, the more your life is being affected without you even realizing. Allah does not send signs for no reason. When something in your heart keeps calling you to wake up, it is not just a feeling, it is a message from the most merciful before something bigger arrives. Let's talk about it. One of the greatest gifts that Allah gives a believer is the gift of early warnings. These warnings are not punishments. They are not signs of rejection. They are not evidence that Allah is angry with you. They are actually signs of love, signs of protection, signs that Allah wants to save you before you harm yourself, your heart, or your future. But the tragedy is that many people see these warnings every single day and still ignore them. They notice their heart shifting, their peace decreasing, their energy fading, their routines collapsing, yet they move on as if nothing is happening. When Allah wants to guide you, He does not suddenly bring a huge event into your life without showing you gentle signs first. He softens your heart. He puts a thought in your mind. He sends you a reminder through a lecture, through a verse you come across, through something a friend says, or even through your own conscience. You have felt it many times. But when you ignore these gentle signs, life begins to push you harder, because Allah wants you to wake up before the consequences grow heavier. Think about your own life. There were times when you stopped praying regularly. At first, you felt guilty, maybe a little uncomfortable, maybe a sense of emptiness. That was an early warning. Then you kept delaying it. Days passed, then weeks, and suddenly the guilt faded. That fading of guilt was not a blessing, it was another warning. When your heart stops reacting to something that should worry you, that is a sign that you are drifting farther than you realize. Allah gives you the feeling of guilt to pull you back. When the guilt weakens, it means you are ignoring the pull. Sometimes the warning comes through your work. Everything you touch becomes harder. Things that used to be simple suddenly become complicated. You feel as if the doors that were once open are now shutting one by one. You think it's bad luck, or people, or the economy, or stress, but deep down you know that the real issue is inside you. You drifted away from Allah, and when a heart moves away from its creator, the entire life system begins to malfunction. Allah does not block your path to punish you. He blocks your path to redirect you. And that blockage is an early sign telling you to pause, rethink, return. Sometimes the warning comes through the people around you. Someone betrays you, hurts you, lies to you, or breaks your trust. Your first reaction might be anger or sadness. But step back and see the wisdom behind it. Perhaps Allah is showing you the true nature of those around you so that you don't rely on them more than you rely on Him. Perhaps He is removing those who are pulling you into sin or away from your purpose. You might cry, but the removal is a sign. You might feel lonely, but the loneliness is a sign. Allah is telling you that your direction needs correction, and the people who once walked with you cannot walk with you anymore. Sometimes the warning is your own heart. You wake up one morning and you feel nothing. Your worship feels empty. Your du'as feel distant. You don't feel motivated to do good, and you are not bothered about the wrong you've done. That emotional numbness is one of the most serious warnings Allah gives a believer, because the heart is the most delicate gift you have. When your heart becomes heavy, when it becomes tired of the world, when it feels distant from its creator, that is Allah telling you that you need to repair it before it breaks further. And my brothers and sisters, sometimes the early warning is hidden in a moment of peace. Yes, peace. You might be living your life with calmness, but suddenly you feel a whisper inside saying you need to fix your relationship with Allah. That whisper is not weakness, it is not anxiety, it is not random. That whisper is a sign that Allah still loves you. It is a reminder that your life is too valuable, your hereafter is too important, and your soul is too precious to drift into darkness without a fight. One of the biggest mistakes we make is assuming that warnings come only through hardship. No, sometimes Allah warns you through blessings. When He continues to give you despite your sins, it is a reminder to return before those blessings stop. When you wake up healthy, even though you forgot to thank Him, that is a sign. When you eat a meal without remembering Him, that is a sign. When you are protected from harm despite your negligence, that is a sign. Allah is telling you gently, return before your life changes in a way that forces you to return. Ignoring these early warnings is like ignoring cracks in a dam. If you fix the cracks when they appear, the water stays under control. But if you ignore them, the cracks grow deeper until the dam collapses and the destruction becomes huge. The heart works the same way. The soul works the same way. Small sins, small delays, small moments of heedlessness, small compromises, they accumulate. And one day your spiritual dam breaks and you find yourself drowning in problems that could have been prevented if you had listened to the signs earlier. The beauty of Allah's mercy is that He never stops sending reminders. Even when you ignore one sign, He sends another. Even when you forget Him, He does not forget you. But do not take that mercy for granted. There comes a point when the warning becomes a consequence. Not because Allah is harsh, but because you refuse the easy path back. And when life wakes you up through pain, the journey becomes much harder. So ask yourself honestly, what is the warning that Allah has placed in your life right now? You know it, you feel it, you recognize it. Don't ignore it again. My brothers and sisters, one of the strongest warnings Allah places in your life comes through your environment. The people you sit with, the voices you listen to, the content you consume, the habits you repeat every single day, all of these shape your heart more than you realize. And when your environment becomes unhealthy, toxic, negative, or spiritually damaging, your heart begins to send you signals. You feel heavier, you feel less connected to Allah. You feel confused about your priorities. You start losing the sweetness of worship. And the sad part is, many people blame everything except the real cause. You cannot expect your heart to remain pure if your environment is pulling it into darkness. You cannot expect your soul to feel light when the places you spend your time in are filled with noise, gossip, sins, arrogance, or distractions. You cannot expect clarity if you are surrounded by people whose words drain you, whose behavior influences you, and whose presence pushes you toward becoming someone you don't want to be. Every time your heart becomes uncomfortable around certain people, every time you feel spiritually weaker after sitting with them, every time your peace disappears after listening to certain conversations, you are being warned. Allah is telling you that something around you is not good for your spiritual well-being. But instead of listening, many people force themselves to stay in these environments out of habit, fear of loneliness, or because they think they can handle it. They don't realize that even the strongest hearts can be affected when exposed to the wrong influences. Think of it like a beautiful white cloth. Even if you protect it carefully, if you place it in a dusty room, it will slowly discolor, not because the cloth is weak, but because the environment is wrong. Your heart is just like that cloth. You might be sincere, you might be trying your best, but if your surroundings are constantly dirty, the dust will settle on you no matter how pure your intentions are. Many people underestimate the influence of friendships. When you spend time with someone who complains, who backbites, who pulls you into sin, or who laughs at religious reminders, you might think you are unaffected. But over time, their habits become normal to you. What once bothered you becomes something you ignore. What once made you uncomfortable becomes something you accept. That shift is not your strength. It is a warning that your environment is reshaping you without your permission. And sometimes the influence comes not from people, but from what you consume. What you watch on your phone, what you listen to in your free time, what you scroll through late at night. These things enter the heart quietly. A joke here, a disrespectful clip there, a casual sin on your screen, one after another. They create layers of darkness on the heart, and suddenly you feel disconnected during prayer. You feel lazy when you want to read a reminder. Your mind becomes filled with thoughts that distract you from Allah. These are all warnings. Clear, powerful warnings that your environment is poisoning your heart in ways you didn't notice. You must understand that the heart is influenced by repetition. Whatever you expose yourself to daily eventually becomes your internal voice. If your environment is full of negativity, you start to think negatively. If your environment is full of mindless entertainment, you lose the ability to reflect deeply. If your environment is full of sins, you become desensitized to them. And if your environment is filled with reminders, goodness and sincerity, your heart begins to shine again. Some people say, I feel empty, I feel distant from Allah, I feel like my life is stuck. But when you look closer, you realize their environment hasn't changed in years. They sit with the same people who drain them. They involve themselves in the same useless conversations. They waste hours on the same distracting content. They enter places that weaken their spirituality. And then they wonder why their heart no longer feels the sweetness of faith. My brothers and sisters, when Allah wants to guide you, He causes you to feel uneasy in unhealthy environments. That discomfort is not random. It is a divine signal telling you to move, to distance yourself, to cleanse your space. If you feel agitated while listening to gossip, that is a sign your heart is alive. If you feel disturbed by sinful content, that is a sign Allah is protecting you. If you feel drained after sitting with certain people, that is a sign Allah wants you to choose better company. Changing your environment can be hard. It might mean leaving old friends. It might mean reducing your time with certain family members. It might mean deleting apps, blocking accounts, shortening gatherings, or choosing solitude over harmful company. But remember something important. Your heart is more valuable than your comfort zone. Your soul is more important than anyone's approval. And your relationship with Allah is more precious than any friendship that pulls you away from Him. A believer must protect their environment the same way a gardener protects his plants. If weeds grow around a delicate flower, the gardener does not blame the flower for dying. He removes the weeds. If insects attack the leaves, he does not yell at the plant. He builds protection. In the same way, if you want your faith to grow, you must remove the environmental threats around your heart. And here is the beauty of it. The moment you purify your environment, your heart begins to heal automatically. Your thoughts become cleaner. Your worship becomes sweeter. Your nights become calmer. Your mornings become brighter. You start to hear Allah's reminders more clearly. Your energy returns. Your purpose becomes clearer. You feel alive again. So ask yourself honestly, who around you is dragging your heart down? What content is corrupting your peace? What habits are weakening your connection with Allah? What environments are suffocating your soul? These are not small details, these are warnings from Allah. And the sooner you respond, the sooner your life will change. My brothers and sisters, one of the most overlooked warnings Allah places in our lives is the feeling we experience when blessings begin to dry up. Not disappear completely, just weaken, slow down, or lose their sweetness. You might still have what you used to have, but it doesn't bring you the same joy anymore. The taste is gone. The excitement is gone. The barakah has slipped away quietly, and many people move on without realizing that this is a wake-up call from Allah. Blessings do not vanish overnight. They fade slowly, like a light dimming in a room. And that dimness is often a direct result of losing gratitude. Allah gives you so much, yet when gratitude begins to disappear from your heart, your blessings lose their shine. You start to feel like life is dull, even though nothing major changed on the outside. That shift is not random. It is a sign that something inside needs attention. Look at your life closely. When you were grateful, you felt alive. The food tasted better, the people around you felt more valuable, even small moments made your heart smile. But when gratitude faded, even big things felt small. You gained something but felt nothing. You achieved something but didn't enjoy it. You received blessings but treated them like burdens. Allah sends you these emotional shifts as warnings to remind you that joy comes from a grateful heart, not from the things you own. A believer who stops appreciating the blessings they have begins to feel spiritually empty. Not because the blessings are gone, but because the heart is no longer connecting to the one who gave them. And when that connection weakens, everything else weakens with it. You may find yourself complaining more. You may notice that you're always comparing your life to others. You may feel unsatisfied even when everything around you looks fine. That is a clear sign that gratitude has slipped away, and when gratitude slips away, blessings follow it. Sometimes Allah reduces a blessing to make you notice how ungrateful you've become, not to hurt you, but to remind you. Think about the moments when you had stable health, but rarely thanked Allah for it. Then one small illness comes, and suddenly you remember the value of feeling normal. That illness is not just a test, it's a reminder. Think of a time when your income was flowing easily, but you rarely appreciated it. Then it suddenly slows down. That slowdown is not random. It is Allah telling you to return to gratitude so the doors can open again. Gratitude is not just to say thank you with your tongue. It's to live in a way that shows you recognize Allah's favors. It's to use your blessings correctly, to avoid arrogance, to be kind, to be humble, to share what you have, and to honor the gifts Allah placed in your life. When gratitude becomes a lifestyle, barakah becomes a companion. But when gratitude disappears, blessings begin to feel heavy. What was once a joy becomes a stress. What was once a gift becomes a burden. Your job, your family, your health, your income, your opportunities, none of them will feel fulfilling if your heart is blind to the mercy behind them, and that blindness is a warning. One of the biggest signs that gratitude is fading is when you start noticing what you lack more than what you have. You look at others and think, why them? Why not me? You see their success and forget your own. You see their blessings and ignore the blessings in your hands. You start scrolling and comparing. You start noticing gaps instead of gifts. And this mindset silently steals your joy while you don't even realize it. Another clear sign that gratitude is slipping is when everything feels routine. You wake up but don't appreciate waking up. You eat but don't appreciate the meal. You walk but don't appreciate the ability to walk. You breathe but don't appreciate the breath. When existence becomes automatic and blessings become invisible, your heart is sending you a message. You need to return to gratitude before your life becomes darker. My brothers and sisters, the warning Allah gives you through the loss of barakah is one of the most gentle forms of mercy. He is telling you, come back to me and I will restore what you lost. Many people try to fix their life by fixing their money, their relationships, their job, their routine. But they forget that gratitude is the foundation of barakah. Repair the foundation and everything else will fall into place. When a person becomes grateful, Allah expands their heart before He expands their life. Suddenly the same things you already had feel rich again. The meal feels delicious again. The relationships feel valuable again. The small achievements feel meaningful again. Why? Because gratitude restores the lens through which you see your life. And when Allah sees true gratitude in your heart, He increases you, not just in wealth or material things, but in peace, contentment, joy, stability, strength, wisdom, and clarity. Gratitude opens doors that effort alone can never open. You can work day and night, but without gratitude, blessings will slip through your fingers. And with gratitude, even the smallest blessing will feel like abundance. One of the most powerful truths you must recognize is this: gratitude is not only a response to blessings, it is a magnet for blessings. When you thank Allah, you are inviting more into your life. When you ignore His blessings, you are silently asking for them to be taken away. So when barakah disappears, do not panic, do not get frustrated, reflect. Ask yourself, when was the last time I truly appreciated what I have? Many people ask for more while misusing what they already have. They want more wealth but waste the wealth they have. They want better relationships but don't treasure the ones around them. They want ease, but don't thank Allah for the ease they currently enjoy. This imbalance is a warning, and Allah wants you to notice it before the consequences become bigger. So my brothers and sisters, look at your life honestly. Has your gratitude faded? Has your heart become blind to the gifts you have? Has barakah slipped away quietly? These are not random experiences. They are signs from Allah telling you to return to a state that invites mercy, not misery. When gratitude comes back, blessings follow it. When gratitude leaves, blessings slowly walk away too. The choice is yours. My brothers and sisters, one of the clearest warnings Allah gives you in life is when He begins removing certain people from your path. Sometimes He takes people away gently, sometimes suddenly, sometimes through distance, sometimes through conflict, sometimes through silence. And many of us panic when this happens. Our hearts become unsettled. We rush to hold on to people who were never meant to stay. We blame ourselves, or we blame them, or we blame the circumstances. But very few people pause and realize that this removal might be one of the greatest acts of mercy from Allah. You see, we don't always know the truth behind people. We judge by what we see, what we hear, what we feel. But Allah knows what you don't know. He sees what happens behind closed doors. He knows their intentions, their thoughts, their character, their hidden habits and their hidden flaws. He knows who will benefit you and who will harm you. And out of His wisdom, He sometimes clears your path by removing people who would have become a burden, a distraction, or a danger to your heart. But when this warning appears, many people refuse to accept it. They try desperately to keep connections alive even when Allah Himself is closing the door. They chase friendships that no longer bring benefit. They force relationships that drain their energy. They cling to people who bring more anxiety than peace. And in doing so, they ignore one of the most powerful signs Allah places in their life, the removal of what is harmful before you even realize it. Sometimes a person leaves your life because they were not sincere. Sometimes because their presence would have damaged your spiritual growth. Sometimes because they would have taken you further from Allah. Sometimes because their behavior, if continued, would have broken you later in a way much harder to recover from. And sometimes they leave simply because their chapter in your story is over. You don't need to force someone to stay when Allah has written that their role in your life has been completed. Think of the times when you cried over someone who walked away. Back then, you felt like losing them was the end of your peace. But now, with time, you look back and realize it was one of the best things that ever happened to you. You grew, you healed, you matured, you discovered yourself, you connected more with Allah. You became stronger. That removal was not a punishment, it was part of your protection. But when your heart refuses to accept Allah's wisdom, life becomes harder. You try to reopen doors that Allah sealed shut. You try to repair relationships that Allah dismantled for your own safety. You try to hold on to people who continually show you through their words and behavior that they do not value you. Every disappointment, every argument, every betrayal becomes louder. These are warnings. Allah is telling you this connection is not good for you. Let it go before it harms you more deeply. If someone repeatedly lies to you, that is not just their mistake, that is a sign for you to step back. If someone constantly drains you emotionally, always taking and never giving, that heaviness in your heart is a warning. If someone mocks your efforts to become closer to Allah, that discomfort you feel is a divine signal telling you that you and them are not meant to walk in the same direction. And if someone pulls you into sin, normalizes what is wrong, or encourages you to ignore your conscience, you must understand that Allah is removing them because they would have corrupted your heart in ways you don't see yet. Sometimes Allah removes people through conflict. You might argue, feel misunderstood, or face disappointment. Instead of seeing it as a disaster, reflect. Maybe Allah is exposing a side of them you needed to see. Maybe He is protecting your peace. Maybe He is showing you that holding on would cause more harm than letting go. Sometimes Allah removes people through distance. They become busy. They stop checking on you. They no longer show the same care. Don't chase them. Don't humiliate your heart. Instead, understand that distance is also a message. Allah's telling you, your journey forward requires different company. Sometimes Allah removes people through blessings. You begin to grow, you begin to improve, you begin to make better decisions, and suddenly certain people disappear because your growth exposes their lack of sincerity. That is not your loss, that is your purification. And sometimes Allah removes people in ways that confuse you. Everything seemed fine, yet they leave. Everything appeared stable, yet the chapter ends. But the confusion is temporary. The wisdom becomes clear later. You may not see it today, but one day you will thank Allah for every door He closed. The mistake many people make is thinking that the removal of someone from their life means that they were not good enough, or that they failed, or that they were abandoned. But the reality is very different. Sometimes Allah takes someone away because He wants to give you someone better, someone more sincere, someone who brings you closer to Him, someone whose presence strengthens you, someone whose character brings peace, not chaos. And sometimes Allah removes someone simply so you can focus on yourself and your relationship with Him. My brothers and sisters, the people who are meant for you will stay without force. They will not need to be chased. They will not confuse you. They will not harm your heart repeatedly. They will not distance you from Allah. And the ones Allah removes, no matter how much you try to hold on, will eventually leave. That is His way of protecting you. So the next time someone walks away, or a relationship collapses, or a friend turns distant, don't let your heart panic. Pause, reflect. Perhaps this is the warning you have been ignoring. Perhaps this is the mercy you could not see. Perhaps Allah is making space for something better. Trust that Allah never takes without giving, He never closes without opening, and He never removes without a purpose. My brothers and sisters, one of the greatest warnings Allah gives a believer is when their relationship with Him starts becoming inconsistent. Not broken, not abandoned, just inconsistent. You pray sometimes and sometimes you don't. You remember Allah one day and forget Him the next. Your heart softens during a reminder, then hardens again when the world distracts you. You make a sincere dua today, and tomorrow you return to the same habits that once made you cry in regret. This inconsistency is not a small matter. It is a sign from Allah that your spiritual foundation needs repair. And sadly, many people misinterpret this sign. They think inconsistency means they are bad Muslims, or that Allah doesn't love them, or that their faith is weak. But the reality is very different. Inconsistency is not a sign that Allah has distanced Himself from you. It is a sign that you have distanced yourself from the stability that your heart desperately needs. You see, Allah never asked you to be perfect. If perfection was a requirement, none of us would stand a chance. What Allah wants from you is consistency, small, regular acts that keep your heart alive. A believer who prays imperfectly but regularly is far better than someone who prays beautifully once in a while and then abandons it. A believer who reads a little Quran daily is far stronger than someone who reads a lot once a month. Allah loves consistency because it protects your soul from collapsing. But when inconsistency begins, when your routines weaken, when your spiritual habits become shaky, Allah allows your heart to feel it. You feel guilty, you feel empty, you feel that something is missing. And that emotional discomfort is a warning, a gentle call from Allah telling you, come back before this inconsistency becomes a lifestyle. Think about it. Every time you drift away, your heart becomes unsettled, your thoughts become scattered, your patience becomes thin, your character weakens, your emotions become erratic, your purpose becomes blurry. These are not random experiences. They are symptoms of a soul that is missing its anchor. That anchor is consistency with Allah. One of the most dangerous patterns a believer can fall into is delaying change because they are waiting to feel ready. They say, I'll start praying properly when life becomes easier. I'll fix myself when I'm not stressed. I'll get serious about Islam when things calm down. But life never calms down. The world will never stop throwing distractions at you. You will never feel perfectly ready. That is why consistency is not built from emotion. It is built from discipline. Your heart does not become strong by accident. It becomes strong when you keep showing up even when you don't feel like it. When you keep praying even when your mind is distracted. When you keep remembering Allah even when your heart is tired. When you keep trying even after failing again and again. That effort is what makes you beloved to Allah. But many people give up the moment they slip. They miss one prayer and say, I'm failing anyway. They fall into one sin and say, there is no point trying. They break one promise to themselves and say, I'm not strong enough. This mentality is more dangerous than the sin itself. Missing one prayer is fixable. Missing 5 is fixable. Even missing months is fixable. But giving up, that is the real disaster. Giving up is the greatest warning sign that many ignore. When you fall and tell yourself, this is who I am now, you have accepted defeat. You have accepted that shaitan has won. You have accepted that your past mistakes define your future, but Allah never wrote that for you. Allah sees your effort, your sincerity, your tears, your struggles. Even when you fall, He sees the part of your heart that still wants Him. And that alone is enough for Him to pull you back if you don't give up on yourself. Let me tell you something very important. Some of the strongest believers in history were not people who never sinned. They were people who never stopped returning to Allah after sinning. Their strength was not in perfection, but in repentance. Their honor was not in never falling, but in never giving up. And Allah raised them because of their consistency in coming back. If you pray 2 prayers a day, don't stop, add 1 more. If you pray all 5 but without concentration, don't stop, improve 1 at a time. If you read Quran once a week, don't abandon it. Increase it gradually. If you sin repeatedly, don't give up repentance. Keep fighting, keep returning, keep trying. Every attempt is counted, every struggle is recorded. Every sincere step is beloved to Allah. The warning Allah gives you through inconsistency is simple. Your heart is hungry and you are feeding it the wrong things. You feed it with endless scrolling, meaningless content, unnecessary conversations and constant noise, and then you wonder why you don't feel connected to Allah. A heart that is stuffed with the world will always starve for faith. And Allah allows you to feel that starvation so you realize what you're missing. When you are inconsistent, your life begins to feel unbalanced. You become irritated easily. You lose patience over small things. You feel overwhelmed by responsibilities. You struggle with inner peace. These emotional shifts are signs that your spiritual routines are weakening. And my brothers and sisters, the most dangerous part of inconsistency is that it happens silently. You don't suddenly wake up distant from Allah. It begins with skipping 1 prayer, then 2. It begins with 1 missed morning of remembrance, then a week. It begins with 1 night of mindless entertainment, then many nights until you lose your motivation for worship. You might think you're still the same person, but your heart knows the truth. It feels the change long before you see it externally. That heavy feeling, that loss of peace, that sudden emptiness, these are all alerts telling you to rebuild your connection before it breaks further. And here is the beautiful part. Even if you've been inconsistent for months or years, Allah can restore you in a moment. 1 sincere prostration can change your destiny. 1 heartfelt dua can rewrite your future. 1 night of tears can wash away years of distance. Allah is not looking at your past. He's waiting to see your next step. So my brothers and sisters, if you feel your worship has become unstable, if your routines are weak, if your connection feels fragile, don't ignore it. This is one of the clearest warnings from Allah. A warning filled with mercy, love and hope. He is telling you, come back to consistency. I will fix everything for you. And when you return, you will notice something remarkable. Your peace returns with you. One of the most powerful warnings Allah places inside a believer is the discomfort you feel when you wrong someone, when you harm someone, when you lie, cheat, gossip, break a trust, or show poor character. The soul is naturally pure. Allah created it to recognize right and wrong. And every time you violate that purity, your heart sends you a signal, a tightness, a heaviness, a guilt, a restlessness. That feeling is not weakness. It is not mental confusion. It is not emotional instability. It is your fitrah whispering to you that something is out of place. When you ignore this internal warning, the heart becomes numb. And a numb heart is one of the most dangerous states a believer can fall into. Because sin is not destructive simply because it is written as wrong. Sin is destructive because of what it does to your heart. It stains it, it hardens it, it removes the sweetness of worship. It blocks blessings. It creates invisible barriers between you and Allah. And the very first sign of this happening is the discomfort you feel after doing something you know you shouldn't have done. Think about the last time you said something hurtful. Even if the other person didn't respond, even if the world didn't notice, you felt it in your chest. You felt something tighten. You felt something whisper, this wasn't right. That whisper is a mercy. Allah is telling you, fix it before it becomes bigger. Think of the last time you spoke behind someone's back. You laughed in the moment, you joined the conversation, but afterward you felt uneasy. That uneasiness is a sign that your heart is still alive. Because a dead heart does not feel guilt. A dead heart sins comfortably. A dead heart apologizes only to protect its ego. But an alive heart feels every mistake as if it has been scratched. And Allah uses that scratch to guide you back to sincerity. Sometimes the warning comes when you betray a trust, a promise you made, a secret you were supposed to keep, a responsibility you were entrusted with. Even if the other person never finds out, your heart does. You feel that heaviness because Allah wants you to repair what you broke before the consequences reach you. And sometimes the warning comes when you harm someone unintentionally but refuse to admit it. You justify it. You say, they deserved it. I was right. It wasn't my fault. But the heart knows the truth. And Allah placed a powerful mechanism inside you that refuses to let your soul rest until you make things right. Many people ignore this warning and continue living with unresolved guilt. They think it will go away on its own, but guilt does not fade when ignored. It turns into anxiety, it turns into irritability. It affects your sleep, it affects your relationships, it affects your peace. Your heart is telling you that something in your character needs cleansing. The longer you ignore it, the more polluted your inner world becomes. My brothers and sisters, don't underestimate the impact of your words and actions. Sometimes one sentence can cause years of pain. Sometimes one moment of arrogance can damage an entire relationship. Sometimes one careless comment can break a heart, and Allah sees it all. If you don't correct your behavior, Allah will correct it for you. And that correction can be painful. If you wrong someone and ignore the guilt, Allah may place someone in your life who wrongs you in a similar way, not as revenge, but as a reminder. If you break someone's trust and ignore the guilt, Allah may show you how trust feels when broken. If you harm someone and ignore the guilt, Allah may let you feel the weight of being harmed. This is not cruelty. This is divine justice mixed with mercy, a structured system designed to keep your heart clean and your character humble. The warning also appears through emotional turbulence. When your heart becomes cluttered with unresolved mistakes, you feel heavy even when life is going well. You feel anxious even when nothing is wrong. You feel distant from Allah even when you pray. Many people think these feelings are random, but often they are connected to unresolved wrongs that you refuse to acknowledge. There is something deeply cleansing about apologizing. Not a weak apology, not an ego-driven apology, but a sincere apology that comes from recognizing your mistake. Some people fear apologizing because they think it lowers their status, but the truth is the opposite. Apologizing elevates you, it purifies your heart, it frees your soul, it lifts weight off your chest. It allows your relationship with Allah to flourish again. Some wrongs cannot be undone with words alone. Sometimes you must replace the harm with kindness. If you hurt someone, be gentle with them. If you lied to someone, be truthful with them. If you gossiped about someone, speak well of them. If you broke someone's trust, show integrity consistently. Allah sees your effort. He knows your sincerity, and He rewards every attempt, even the imperfect ones. One of the biggest signs your heart is warning you is when you start to lose peace. Peace is not lost because life becomes difficult. Peace is lost because your heart becomes dirty. Even during hardship, a clean heart feels close to Allah. But even during ease, a dirty heart feels distant. If you find yourself restless, irritated, unable to enjoy blessings, unable to focus in prayer, unable to feel softness during dua, don't rush to blame the world. Look inward. Is there someone you wronged? Is there a behavior you haven't corrected? Is there a mistake you keep repeating without remorse? Is there a relationship you have not repaired? Allah created you with a conscience so that you never lose your humanity in the pursuit of life. That conscience is a bridge between you and Allah. When you violate it, the bridge weakens. When you honor it, the bridge becomes strong and unshakable. And remember something important, my brothers and sisters, remorse is a gift. The ability to feel bad about a wrong is a sign that Allah still wants you. Allah still cares about you. Allah still guiding you. If your heart hurts after a sin, don't drown in shame. Celebrate that feeling. It means Allah hasn't closed the door. In fact, He is inviting you to walk through it before it closes on its own. When you respond to this warning, something amazing happens. Your heart becomes lighter. Your relationship with Allah becomes sweeter. Your du'as become deeper. Your worship becomes calmer. Your character becomes softer. And your life begins to align in ways you didn't expect. So take a moment and reflect. Who did you hurt? Who did you disappoint? Who did you wrong? What habits are poisoning your heart? What mistakes are repeating themselves? What guilt have you been ignoring? These are not questions to shame you. They are questions to save you. My brothers and sisters, one of the most powerful, most painful, and most transformative warnings Allah sends into your life is the moment He begins removing your comfort. Not removing your blessings, not removing your opportunities, but removing your comfort. He shakes your routine. He shakes your stability. He shakes your sense of control. He shakes your plans. And for a believer, this is one of the clearest signs that Allah is calling you to something greater. When life becomes uncomfortable, when your heart feels unsettled, when things stop flowing the way they used to, many people panic. They feel like everything is falling apart. They think Allah is upset with them. They assume they're being punished. But the truth is far deeper. When Allah wants to elevate you, He does not make your life easier. He makes your life honest. Honest with yourself. Honest with your purpose. Honest with your priorities. Honest with your connection to Him. Even comfort is beautiful. Yes. But comfort also makes you passive. Comfort makes you settle. Comfort makes you forget. Comfort makes you ignore what needs to be fixed. If Allah allowed you to live your entire life comfortably while your heart was drifting away, that would not be mercy, that would be abandonment. But Allah never abandons the believer. So when He loves you, He shakes your comfort to awaken your soul. Think of the moments in your life when you felt lost, confused, tired, or overwhelmed. These moments were not meant to break you. They were meant to bring you back to Him. When Allah takes away your comfort, He is not closing your life. He is opening your heart. Sometimes the discomfort comes through emotional pain. You suddenly feel lonely, even in a room full of people. You feel anxious for reasons you cannot explain. You feel a heaviness in your chest. Your joy disappears even though your life looks the same on the outside. That emotional disruption is not random. Allah is telling you, you have leaned too much on the world and not enough on me. Sometimes the discomfort comes through your career. You were stable and suddenly everything becomes uncertain. The job becomes stressful. The environment becomes toxic. You feel like you're stuck. You feel like your passion is gone. You feel drained. And you wonder, why is this happening? But what if Allah is preparing you for something better? What if Allah is pushing you out of a place that would limit your growth? What if the discomfort is the sign that your next chapter cannot begin unless this one ends? Sometimes the discomfort comes through relationships. Someone you relied on becomes distant. Someone you trusted becomes unreliable. Someone you love begins to show their true colors and your heart breaks. You ask yourself, why did Allah allow this? But you forget that Allah sees conversations you never heard. He sees behaviors you never noticed. He sees intentions you could never detect. When Allah removes your comfort in relationships, it's because He is saving your heart from a bigger heartbreak. Sometimes the discomfort comes through delay. You want something badly, a new opportunity, a healing, a solution, a breakthrough, and it doesn't happen. Days turn into months, months turn into years, and you feel like life is stuck. But delay is one of the strongest signs Allah uses. Delay means the blessing is not ready for you, or you are not ready for the blessing. Allah does not just give at the right time. He gives when giving will not damage you. And sometimes the discomfort comes through your own heart. You feel spiritually dry. You pray, but you don't feel connected. You try to worship, but you don't feel the sweetness. You listen to reminders, but they don't move you the way they used to. Many people think this is a sign of weakness. But sometimes this dryness is Allah telling you, change something in your life. You've outgrown the level you were at. It is time to elevate. The most dangerous response to discomfort is to ignore it, to pretend everything is fine, to distract yourself instead of reflecting, to numb your heart with entertainment, conversations, scrolling, or worldly pursuits instead of asking, what is Allah trying to show me? My brothers and sisters, Allah does not disturb your comfort without purpose. He does not shake your peace without wisdom. When He takes something away, it is because He wants to give you something better. And when He shakes your heart, it is because He wants to pull you closer. Some of the greatest spiritual transformations happen in seasons of discomfort. People return to prayer sincerely when life becomes heavy. People make dua with tears when they feel helpless. People clean their hearts when they lose people who hurt them. People become humble when they face hardship. People discover their strength when life tests them. And people discover Allah when every other door closes. There are times when you feel like everything is slipping out of your hands, your plans, your relationships, your routines, your stability. But what if Allah is taking everything out of your hands, so you finally place your life back in His hands? You cannot grab what Allah is giving you next if your hands are still full of what He is trying to remove. You must understand something very important. Discomfort is not always a sign that something is going wrong. Sometimes discomfort is a sign that something is about to go right, very right. Allah often disrupts your comfort right before He upgrades your life. But if you run back to old habits, old environments, old sins, or old relationships, every time you feel discomfort, you will never grow. Discomfort is the doorway to transformation. Allah does not let your heart stay attached to things that are harmful. Allah does not let your life remain stagnant when you were meant to rise higher. Allah does not let you settle for less when He wrote more for you. Every discomfort carries a message. You are growing, you are evolving, you are being redirected, you are being protected, you are being prepared, you are being refined. And the biggest mistake you could make is to think that this discomfort is a sign that Allah is displeased with you. No, many times discomfort is a sign that Allah is investing in you, working on you, polishing you, strengthening you, elevating you. So my brothers and sisters, reflect deeply. What discomfort is Allah using right now to wake you up? What is He trying to remove? What is He trying to teach you? What is He trying to redirect you toward? Don't ignore this warning. Don't drown it with distractions. Don't silence it with excuses. Listen to it, embrace it, grow through it. Because the moment you respond to the discomfort with patience, sincerity, and trust, you will witness something extraordinary. Allah will not only restore your comfort, He will give you comfort far greater than anything you lost. My brothers and sisters, as we come to the end of this reminder, let us lift our hearts together and call upon the one who never turns away, a sincere caller. O Allah, the most merciful, the one who knows the secrets of our hearts, we ask you to forgive us for every warning we ignored, every reminder we delayed, every blessing we took for granted, and every moment we drifted away when we should have returned. O Allah, cleanse our hearts from the darkness we allowed to enter. Replace our heaviness with ease, our fear with trust, our confusion with clarity, and our sadness with the peace that only you can give. O Allah, if we have hurt anyone, guide us to make it right. If we have slipped in our worship, pull us back gently. If our hearts have become numb, soften them with your mercy. If our souls have become tired, revive them with faith. And if we have allowed this world to distract us, bring us back to you in the most beautiful way. O Allah, do not let us leave this world while our hearts are distant from you. Do not let us die except in a state that is pleasing to you. Protect us from the traps of our own desires, from the whispers that weaken us, and from environments that corrupt our hearts. Surround us with people who remind us of you, who help us grow, who lift us higher, and who care for our akhirah more than our dunya. O Allah, open doors for us that we don't even know exist. Grant us relief from every burden, solutions to every problem, and light in every darkness. Make our difficulties a means of elevation, not destruction. Make our discomfort a path to change, not despair. Make our losses a doorway to better beginnings. O Allah, guide our hearts when we are lost. Strengthen our faith when it weakens. Protect our families, our homes, our health, and our iman. Grant us the ability to stay consistent, sincere, and steadfast, and bless us with a relationship with you that nothing in this world can shake. O Allah, allow us to respond to your signs, your reminders, and your warnings with humility, wisdom, and immediate action. And make every step we take toward you a step that transforms our lives in this world and the next. O Allah, accept our efforts, forgive our mistakes, and grant us hearts that return to you again and again, no matter how many times we fall. Ameen.